You could be the most talented DJ in the world, but if people don't know about you, then you're not going to progress. I've been working with DJs on their social media content for the last 10 years. A lot of times I feel like sometimes DJs struggle or don't know what they can post. They need some ideas. They're like, but I've tried everything, or I don't like social media. And unfortunately, the reality is you have to do social media. If you want your brand to grow, you want your audience to grow, your recognition to grow, and to climb up that DJ ladder, you need to be putting out content. So I'm going to run through some tips. First off, it's very, very simple. It's DJ mixes, but more specifically live DJ mixes. Out of all the mixes that you guys are used to playing with, there will either be a record out function, which gives you a nice leveled, balanced out, so it's not distorted, even when you lot are slamming the reds, which I know you love to do. Of course, if you're using a program like Serato or Rekordbox, there's also an option to record internally. Personally, what I do when I work with DJs is I run out of the record out of the mixer, I run into a Zoom H6, so an audio recorder, could be a Tascam, it could even be an iPhone if you've got the right leads. Then what I do is I record the crowd and I record the feed from the mixer and I mix it all down and I play around with it in editing. But you get a really, really nice clean recording of the set with a little bit of crowd noise sprinkled in, and it's really, really good. And stuff like that can really, really sort of elevate you, I feel, in terms of your audience online. People love to hear a little bit of the atmosphere, they love to hear the crowd reactions. 9 times out of 10, I know a lot of you are flexing a little bit more out in the club than you are at home practicing. Even if you're practicing at home at all, because a lot of you are probably playing out 4 to 5 times a week, you're doing it while you're out at your club. So it's a great way just to build an audience. You know, if you do a really, really cool show, record it, put it online, people can listen back to it. It's a cool piece of content. Another tip that sort of also goes alongside with this is live clips. Live clips while you're playing, especially in the world where it's short form content is going crazy right now on TikTok, Instagram Reel, and YouTube Shorts. Like, you need to utilize this. You need to be utilizing short form content. Now, whether it's on your phone, whether you get a videographer in to film it. The one key thing I would say, and it sort of reverts back to my first point, is you need to have that clean audio. Sometimes you can get away with it with the iPhones. They have really, really good inbuilt sound cards. It auto levels, so it shouldn't really distort. A great example of this is James Hype. A load of the content he posts is just done on his iPhone. I've toured with James as well. We've just used an iPhone sometimes over the clips that I've, say, captured on a camera. Sometimes it just works better. It's more realistic. You feel like you're more there in the moment. Sometimes it works. Don't be scared to use an iPhone. Learn how to use your phone. Play with the settings, see what works. Test. You just need to test and put content out. Now, this idea sort of ties into both of them, and it's actually filming your whole live set. So you're actually video recording the whole set. Now, whether that's you get a proper camera crew in, whether you just set up a little GoPro you got lying around, even set up your iPhone just recording you, or maybe a different camera or a friend's iPhone recording the crowd, then take it in to learn how to edit in Final Cut or Premiere or even CapCut. There's so many different and even free options now. Then you can also have your really high quality audio recording, take that in. And the bonus of this is that you get one long piece of amazing content that you can put on YouTube, but you can then cut that up. If you've, say, done like 10 amazing transitions in that hour and a half, or if you're playing longer then even more, you can cut that into clips. You can then use them clips on all the platforms we mentioned, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and all of a sudden you've gone from one piece of content to like 10. It's definitely worth it. It's worth the investment, especially if you know it's going to be a really good show, a really busy one, the crowd's really, really high. And it's a great piece of what we call in the industry like umbrella content. You create one piece and then you feed off and make more. Another thing you can do is if you have a setup at home or in a studio or even your bedroom, is just record you practicing, record some new transitions, record some word plays, and just put them online. It can be the audio directly recorded. It could be the audio from your phone. You'll find now if you actually go through something like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, loads of these clips are blowing up, and sometimes the actual mixing isn't that great or they're not actually doing much. Them clips just blow up. They'll do hundreds of thousands of views, thousands of likes. If you're actually very talented and you have skill and you can back it up and video that and put it online, then you have the chance to blow up as well. I think though one thing I do have to caution is that this isn't going to happen overnight. You might post 40 videos, you might post 50 videos, and then all of a sudden one goes. A DJ I work with really, really closely, Joe LaBelle, we were posting for months and months, nearly a year, constantly just putting out content. And then it took one clip to absolutely fly. We piggybacked off the back of it, and in the space of 3 months, his account went from 2,000 followers to over 250,000, and he's now getting bookings worldwide. His talent was never ever the problem with DJ. It was never ever a thing, but as I always said to him, like, you are one of the most talented DJs I know, but it's telling the world that. We need to educate the world that. We need to tell the world, and the only way we can tell them is through content. Another great idea is like showing behind the scenes. If you make a little bit of music on the side or edits or reworks, be like, oh, here's how I made this. Here's how I set up for my club gig. Here's what I do in the day of the life of a DJ. Here's behind the scenes of me going to a gig. Now this could be you selfieing it. It could be your friend filming on their phone. One thing I'm really trying to like iterate is that you don't need expensive cameras to produce content. Like there is so much you can do with this thing. Like it's incredible. Like the cameras are great, the audio is great on them. There's so much you can do, and even if you wanted to do talking stuff on them, you can just buy a little clip-on mic for like £50. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do with a phone, and you know, and sometimes you might have a gig where you want to get a videographer in because you want that higher quality content. Because it is also good to have that, you know, have iPhone content and stuff for short form and platforms and so on. But it is also nice to have some really good high quality clips. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the stuff we do with Joe was all filmed on proper cameras, and the quality is just insane. When you get someone who knows what they're doing with it, the content then just, it gets taken, like the clip will already be insane. But if you then got the right color grading, the right lighting, the DJ's lit well, everything's in focus, even a little bit of camera movement in time with the beat, it takes that clip to that extra level, and it's all subconscious. You're adding more to it. You're adding a little bit more seasoning. We're seasoning it up. You don't always have to get a videographer in, but sometimes it's good to. Okay, another great one, and we've actually tested this with one of my DJs, is TikTok Live while you are DJing. We set the phone up behind the DJ, so like half the shot was a DJ, half was a crowd. Really, really interesting. We did mad numbers on the stream. Like, you're not really paying attention to it. Like, it's just there. Obviously, you can't really reply to comments because you're DJing. There's so many people, because of obviously in the UK where I'm based, if you're doing it for a UK nightlife, you have to understand that you've also got other time zones that are then in their early evening. So they're on their phones, they're active, it's a weekend. And all of a sudden you get this mad global traffic, and you also get people who are sat in bed on their phone at 2 a.m. browsing through TikTok. So the potential to hit a really, really big audience is definitely there for it. And it's so easy. Literally just get a little phone holder, tripod, gorilla pod, monopod, anything. Even prop it up on a speaker if you can without it falling off. I don't want anybody breaking their screen. But yeah, just hook it up, go live on TikTok and just see what happens. You might find you build a nice little following through doing that. And if you've got a residency where you're every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it can become a little bit of a regular thing. That can then lead to you doing maybe other content. So very easy to do. You don't have to do it the whole set. Just do it half hour, do it an hour, do it 45 minutes. Just give it a try, see what works. So 2 more ideas. These sort of merge into each other, but you could do a monthly podcast or like a music mix. I feel like a lot of people still feel like there's not a lot of value in doing SoundCloud or Mixcloud and putting mixes up, but there are still thousands of mixes every single day, every single week that are getting listened to. Me personally, the DJs that I listen to, I will go find their live mixes from clubs, say like a Club Space Miami or something at a festival. Like, you don't just have to be doing massive shows in order to record them and put them online. And if we revert back to the first idea that I mentioned about recording really good high quality audio of your sets with a little bit of crowd noise, you start putting them on, start promoting them online, on socials. You could, even if you really wanted to push it, say on the mic while you're there, hey, listen to my mixes, I'm on SoundCloud. Have a little QR code, so anytime people come up to the booth, they can scan a QR code. There's so many different ways that you can build your brand out as a DJ and putting longer form content on, like the live sets, like the mixes, is a great way for people to find your stuff and listen to it over a longer period of time. Now, my next 2 ideas are sort of more tips really for social media, but it's utilizing polls and like questionnaires on Instagram. Now, some of you may already know, but if you use these, they really spike engagement on your stories, and which can then lead onto your profile. So if you've got an announcement coming up or a big post you want to do, even just day-to-day interacting with fans or people you know, just put a question up, put a poll up. It could be anything. Could even be not related to music. It could be, what do you prefer, Tottenham or Arsenal? Do you prefer fish and chips or do you prefer Chinese? Like, there's so many different options. And as you're starting to build a fan base, people will like it because they feel like it's a way they can sort of interact with you, especially if you then take people's responses and reply to it, have a little bit of fun with it. And that sort of leads into my last tip, which is if you're posting a flyer online, mainly Instagram, do not just post a flyer. The algorithm scans and recognizes that it's a lot of text and it just won't get pushed as much. And it's also not very pleasing to the viewer. You want to spice it up. Always join it with either a photo or a video. Is there a way that you can perhaps take the dates of, say, a flyer and merge it into, a video file, a bit like a boomerang or a loop? I don't know what you're thinking, then I've got to pay a videographer to do this and do that. No, you can do that on Canva. You can do that actually pretty easily. They have a great animate option. I use it for loads of projects, and I've been a videographer for 10 plus years, and I still sometimes go to it because it's way quicker for me to do that than to open After Effects and start going all crazy. There's so many tools that are available to you. If you utilize them in the right way, it can really, really help build your brand and also just build awareness around you. So yeah, that's just a couple of ideas on content that you can put out. Ultimately, content is king. As I mentioned, like with the example with Joe, if we hadn't been putting out content for Joe would still be doing his residencies. And now he's able to go and do guest bookings and doesn't have any residencies at all. And that was all because of the content. Content he was putting out enabled him to get exposure to a much larger audience, which then in turn showed people his skills. It showed people what he was about, the energy he brought to the crowd. And we could then utilize that going forward to then bring in bigger gigs. And I get some people don't want to put a lot of time into social media. And that's absolutely fine. If that's what you want to do, that's cool. But you then can't expect to grow at the same rate as someone who is putting out a lot of content. Ultimately, content is key, and it's the key thing that's going to get you successful. So I hope you found a couple of these ideas useful. If you have, give the video a thumbs up. If you've got any questions or even any ideas for extra content that DJs could do, drop it down in the comments below. If you have really enjoyed the video, hit subscribe. My name is EVPRO, and I will see you next time.